Alright, let's talk about HP Omen 8940HX and 5060. It also comes with 5070 and rest, but today we are only going to talk about the 8940 or the 45. There is barely 0.1 gigahertz difference between those CPU. So any of that CPU with the 5060 that I have the data on right now. Okay, that's the laptop, and immediately let's get into the review. All right, uh, summary, purchase, important stuff. You know what, let's do the cautions first. It is a laptop, so this is HP laptop. I do not recommend HP without accidental damage protection of the maximum that you can get. Simple as that. Okay, if it's not available, if you can't buy ADP for whatever reasons, sometime HP forces you to buy directly from them. If you go via a third party retailer, they do not give extra ADP. Okay, in those cases, do not buy this laptop. That's my recommendation. Everything that I will say is assuming that you are getting this laptop with 3 years ADP. Okay, so also, just because it's HP, and their track record has not been very good. Okay, I have talked about a lot on this topic in HP, why you should do this, but in short, it's lower quality control and stuff that breaks. Even HP's full form has recently become hinge problem. So there are some issues with HP, but you will find them on the lower price end compared to other brands. That's the choice that you have to make. Even if you do trust HP and you have had good experience, I will still not recommend getting this laptop without the extra accidental damage protection of at least 3 years. Okay, that's the biggest caution with this. Second thing, power key, the key to turn on the laptop, is actually built on the keyboard. This is a very bad design flaw. You can go ask any laptop repair shop and they will tell you how many times they have had to replace the whole keyboard just because that power key failed. Okay, since it's being pressed every day, I don't know. There's something about putting power keys on keyboard that just fails quicker than putting it separately. And when it does need replacing, you have to replace the whole keyboard. So that's a big flaw. Anyways, last thing, a small thing, that laptop when it comes out of the box is in extreme mode. It's not the whatever the monster custom mode, whichever one the best mode is. It's not in that. In this mode, GPU is still okay, CPU is giving a bit less performance, but if you move it to the highest performance mode, the temperature are still fine and you will get proper scores that are comparable to other laptops. So those are the three main cautions. Now let's get into the summary. It's a cost effective laptop, that has to be that isn't trying to be flashy and cool by, you know, being too thin, or you know, cutting out the vents to look more cool, look more premium. It is not trying to do that. Instead, it went the other way. It is thicker, it's a bit heavier compared to other laptops, but that helps a lot in controlled temperatures. Recent, a lot of the laptops have become so hot that it's that, you know, in my earlier reviews I have said this, that you are not even able to type on the keyboard while you're gaming or something, because of course the CPU GPU gets hot, but even the outside body gets also hot in many laptops. So for that, you know, just giving it a thicker body, proper vents on all side, it helps with temperature a lot, and it also helps with noise a lot. So that's the main trade-off. Okay, it's not trying to look flashy or anything, but it gets the job done. Yes, it's a bit bulky, but it keeps the temperature in check. Okay, CPU has been slightly limited thermally. Okay, and I say it's a good thing. Other reviewer has said this is bad because on the same CPU you get few 3 4 5% extra performance on other laptops, but why on this we get low? And that has been done on purpose, and I actually like that. Okay, if you check any of the Legion reviews, even AMD and Intel this generation, all of them are just crossing the 90-degree CPU like it's nothing. All of them, Intel ones are crossing 100 degrees. Why? Just to prove that it's a better CPU. And I think that high temps, maybe the CPU is fine, but the other components beside the CPU, they will not like it. Okay, having had a 14700 HX in a LOQ that has died 2 times, I can assure you, I, I would much rather have a CPU that remains cool instead of just breaking all the benchmark scores. So yeah, the CPU has been either power or thermally limited, and that is a good thing. And due to this, you will see in the pros, CPU remains quite cool. Okay, there are a few things. Of course, this is sort of a budget. It is a premium laptop, but it is on the lower end of the premium laptops compared to the brands. So there are some cost cuttings. They are not in the thermal department, they are in other department like the Wi-Fi. Okay, so Wi-Fi is just near the heat pipe. Okay, so Wi-Fi card is just near the heat pipe, due to which in long gaming sessions and all, the temperature, the high temperature of the heat pipe gets to the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi speeds can vary quite a bit, as you can see. Okay, it is still usable. You will just not be able to game on Wi-Fi, although it's not recommended anyways, but it's one thing. Second thing is the SSD. The second SSD is a smaller 20 to 30 size. Okay, yeah, you heard me right, 20 to 30, not 20 to 48. That is still common. 20 to 30 is uniquely rare. It's very hard to find SSD of this size. Yes, there is space, but there is no screw or anything here to hold the SSD in place. Okay, it's simply not there to hold it in place. As you can see, it is still inside the body, but it's not recommended to put something as important as data like that. Okay, that's the other thing. What's the other thing? Power button, I already talked about it. It's a bit chunky. I already talked about it. SSD temps. Now this is going to vary from region to region. In some places, in some countries, the SSD has this. You see this? Oh, actually, it's everywhere. Okay, so in some earlier models, the SSD was going a lot higher, like 90 degrees or something. So if that happens in your model, you might have to apply a thermal pad inside the small heatsink. You will have to remove it and put some thermal pad in. Lower models did not have this high heat. You can see there are three temperatures that SSD has. This is, I think, ACPI temperature, which is this much high. Okay, so you can see hitting 90 degrees. This was not repeated in other review that I checked. Okay, so this only happened once. So the only thing I can say is maybe there is some thermal paste you might have to apply on that SSD. You have to be ready for that. Okay, and it has varied. So that was the main, a few things that can be bothersome, and expect a bit lower. So if you start comparing this laptop to other laptops which have the same CPU and GPU, you will see that the FPS numbers are a bit lower compared to them, but the temps are within control. Okay, it's not noticeable in my opinion. The numbers of the FPS comparison I checked, it's not noticeable. But yeah, if you start to directly compare two laptops, you will see that the FPS on other laptops like the Legion or the one with Intel or something have higher FPS, but they will also have higher temperatures. Okay, cautious. We already talked about pros and cons. It's usually cheaper than other premium laptops like Lenovo's Legions, Acer Predator, Dell's Alienware, Asus Strix, XMG, Neo, and all. It is usually cheaper than that. CPU 8945HX and 40HX are essentially same, as I said before. It has been thermally limited, as I already talked about this. This is the older Zen 4 architecture CPU. Okay, so it doesn't support the RAM higher than 5200 megahertz. Okay, and the Zen 5 is the 9955HX CPU. It is a good CPU, but just that's nothing new. It's actually just as same as the 7940HX or 7945HX. It is a 2-3 year old CPU. Still good, still good. But yeah, if you find another laptop with like 9955HX, maybe it will perform better. Even the 275HX, they will also perform better in terms of single core performance. Okay, so that's what happens with Zen 4. Single core performance is a bit lower. So if you get Zen 5 or other CPU, you will get a little more single core performance, about 10-15%. Even with that, I still consider single core performance to be quite good for most users. Okay, CPU gives consistent performance while staying cool. Okay, so that's just 82 watts, it's enough, and that gives 30,000 plus cinnamon score and 84 degrees centigrade. That is under stress test of CPU. The other temperatures are lower than that. So yeah, with the same, yeah, the performance is, yes, a bit lower. Other laptop will give you 33,000, 34,000 score. I just reviewed the Legion one, but they will also heat up quite a bit, so you will have to thermally limit them, and then they will come back to these scores anyways. Stress test, I put it below. GPU 5060, it is at stock. When you get the laptop, it will look a few points slower than other laptops. As soon as you go into overclock, enable that overclock, auto overclock, it will start performing just as well as the other laptops. In esports title, if you especially compare this laptop with 255HX, 14900HX, in which CPU is required more, they will get higher FPS than this. But in single player games, it is not that noticeable. Display, it varies from market to market. 240 Hz screen display is quite good. It has both in fact both the displays are 100% sRGB, so for most people it's fine. The colors are good, you will not complain. For professionals, these are not good. Okay, professionals will need that's another metric. It's 100% DC IP3 or 126% sRGB, as we say. So if you are a professional, that's not for you, but for a gamer, for a normal person, it's fine enough. Both the 165 Hz screen and the 240 Hz screen, okay, 400 nits and 600 nits, both are good. Okay, in India as of now, the 400 nits screen is here. Out of the box, it is slightly blue, so you might have to change that, but it's still all right. Body is relatively thick, it can be cumbersome, but that helps with temperatures a lot. Neutral stuff. Texture is plasticky, it doesn't feel like a premium laptop, even though it is in the premium range. Omen's RHP's premium gaming laptop, but sort of feel plasticky overall. It is solid plastic, it is good plastic, but it feels cheap. Large intake vents and exhaust vent, good thing. Clean setup is possible, mainly because there are a few ports at the back, as you can see. HDMI, Ethernet, DC in. Is this DC in? I think this is DC in, and that's USB. We do not have a back vent picture. Oh yeah, here it is. As you can see, why are there two pictures? One should be Intel, one should be AMD. I think this is AMD. Yes. Anyways, moving on. That was not the point. So that helps that there are a few ports in the back. You can just plug in some Ethernet adapter, USB hub, and you will have a clean setup. Rubber feet at the bottom are quite good. There is enough You know why I'm talking about this? Because a lot of newer laptops have I don't know why they did this, but they have started to get rid of these basic things just to show that they are thin, including the newer Legion laptops. They are so bad that you can't just use them on a table. You have to always prop them up. Okay, and if you keep them on the bottom, I think it was the Legion 7i Pro 275HX, in which I said that you have to use that laptop, on a stand or by propping up always. Why? Because they removed the lower or rubber thing. Anyways, point moving on. Keyboard is alright, not the best, not the worst. Keyboard layout is good. A few things will bother you: the half size arrow key, the power here. Okay, those are the two main things that will bother you, but it's good enough considering it's a gaming laptop. Network latency is good while gaming. If you push the laptop to its most extreme, the best mode, yes, there is loud sound. However, if you go into performance mode, where only the CPU is a bit limited, the noise is barely noticeable, and that is a very good thing. Okay, it's hard to find a gaming laptop that doesn't always make a lot of noise, and again, the thick body helps slightly. I'm just repeating a lot of stuff. Anyways, balance mode, GPU is heavily limited to 45 watts, so do not play games in balance mode. Fans and performance mode, in the maximum mode, which is not really needed, but if you do use that, the fan, just because they keep going up and down between two modes, it becomes noticeable. If they had stayed at a one constant speed, you might have not noticed. All plastic bit already talked about this. Default performance mode after the box, CPU performance 15% lower, I guess. 8945HX, older, so 5200 megahertz RAM maximum. Even if the laptop comes with 5600 megahertz RAM, which it does in many regions, it will only run at 5200 megahertz. I have to confirm this. In many regions there are thermal pads installed, SSD is performing fine, and in the same region some laptops there is no thermal pad and the SSD is heating up a bit. This was a problem in the last Omen that they had this year. They put the thermal pad, so this should be fixed. Whatever happens, I will update it on the website in here in extra note. Okay, also here, what's more, where are we? Yeah, cons. It's HP. I talked about this. They have a bad reputation with customer service. It is said that if you get an HP laptop, you become, your relationship with the third party service engineer improves, it flourishes. It has had this problem, horrible customer care, and common HP stuff. In practice, what I have seen is, yes, all the 10 laptops, non-gaming laptops, they have performed horribly. Okay, the Vectus line, many hinge has broken what I have seen. Omen, yes, there have been problem. If you remember the other HP video that I made, that had the design flaw, the what's the name, the lid would not close, whatever that thing was, that issue. But in general, there are some problems with HP, and some people don't want to go with HP just because of their past history. I say, that is why I said, at least get ADP, so that if they try to get rid of you, try to blame the user for anything, at least you can say, oh, but I got the ADP, I have the accidental damage protection, so you have to fix this issue if it so arises. Okay, so that's the safety net. That's the first thing I said. But yeah, if you don't want to go HP, it's completely understandable. Oh yeah, and yeah, let's not talk about this, it's already a long review. Power button is built into the keyboard. I already talked about this. If it dies, you have to replace the whole keyboard. It's not cheap. The SSD 2230 size is quite small. They are usually 33% more expensive than the normal SSD. Yes, they are available, but they are rare. Wi-Fi module, I already talked about this. It varies a lot. Let's immediately run through some benchmarks and some other stuff. 2.38 kgs charger, as we know, is quite heavy in gaming laptop. CPU, so you see this score 1949. In the 275HX it will be close to 2200, and in the 9955HX CPU, the newer Ryzen, it will be more close to 2100, 2150 something. So newer Zen 5 CPUs, they are good in single core score, which helps in a lot of games, which helps in a lot of benchmarks. Single core score, this is the long run score, and which you can see is pretty consistent while staying below 84 degrees. Okay, so when you start to compare with other laptops, do check how hot they are running to get those higher score. Okay, CPU only stress test. In performance mode, which is not recommended, the CPU drops to 60 watt. In the whichever the best mode is, the CPU runs at 80 watt and is very cool at 73 degrees centigrade. The other temperature, that was with some other person, but in general both are fine. Time space code, you can see the low word is a bit smaller. In other laptops there will be, this will be more 300 points higher, but if you overclock it, then they come to the same point. GPU CPU stress test, you can see, let me just show you this. GPU only stress test, it's just 71 degrees at 105 watts. Oh yeah, GPU is 115 watt, but 5000 series Nvidia, they are max out at 100 watts, so it doesn't really matter. You can see the GPU only stress test is 71 degrees, but GPU plus CPU stress test is 77 degrees, while the GPU are same wattage, and that's the reason is CPU and GPU share the same heat pipe. So if the CPU goes a bit hotter, so does the GPU. But considering they have limited the CPU temps, I say it's fine. There are a lot of benchmarks here if you want to compare it. Okay, that's the single player benchmarks. You can see almost close to 60 except a few games. Esports, these are done at 1080p low quality, good enough results. But if you compare it to other laptops, you will see they have a bit higher numbers here, because these are CPU demanding test for whoever wants to compare Buget Bench and Spec Workstation, it's there. Anything else? That's the laptop. Ignore this completely, this was not done in the highest performance mode. I should write it there. Keyboard fail, I think we already talked about this. Is there anything else that I have to say? I did not tell you about battery life. Okay, I will upload it on the website as soon as I find something about battery life. I will not expect a good battery life. This is the Zen 4 CPU, but whatever the numbers are, I will put it there once I do find it. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. Do compare it with other laptops. This is not common in current gaming laptops. A cool keyboard under 40 degrees and 32 33 degrees near the WSD keys, it is not a common thing. Okay, they are all starting to heat quite a bit. So those vents good. This is not completely grilled, the vents are only here, as you can see. And that's just their design choice. Thermal details, we already talked about this. GPU, that's the SSD temperature, that's lower, we already talked about this. And I guess that's it. This was the GPU, SSD temps that was higher. So not the GPU, I meant SSD right now. It's a big video. And I think I spent 5 minutes just talking about why you should not buy HP, I guess. So in short, should you buy this laptop? I say, first off, that do not pay extra compared to other brands if you're getting similar spec. But and if you are fine with a bit heavier, bit thicker laptop, if you're fine knowing that you're not getting the best score in the best configuration you have, but you have a quite cool laptop, you're fine with HP's BS, whatever it's there, you're fine with the SSD, smaller SSD size, I guess It's a laptop that you can get. The main thing of concern is just the HP brand, I guess. That's the main thing. Other things, yes, you can live with. The main thing is HP. We do not know how the laptop will perform in the long run. Looks okay, feels okay, everything it's all right. And just to, you know, that's why I said just get the 3 years ADP, so that even if something does happen that I cannot predict right now from here, at least you are safe. Okay, as long as you do that, and knowing that you are not getting the best looking laptop, best, sleekest or the coolest laptop, but a laptop that stays cool, I think it's a solid choice. It's just as okay. Yeah, comparison, there should be Legion in the same price range, but with the same CPU it will not be OLED. With the 9955HX, that will be OLED, but it will be quite costlier than this. Okay, so if you want the OLED, you can go in that direction. The reason I do not want to bring up Intel is everyone is trying to, except HP, I guess, everyone is trying to make the laptop thinner, make it look sexy, and in doing so thermals raised by a lot. The newer Intel 200 series CPUs, they have a max temperature of 105, not 100. So even if you call and complain that my CPU is running more than 100 degrees, you will hear from the manufacturer that Intel says 105 degrees is fine, which is good, but that high temperature is not good for other components that are beside the CPU. Anyways, that's my prejudice against Intel, at least until now. If someone, maybe HP, brings an Intel laptop that is heavily limited in thermals or TDP, maybe we'll look into that. So, yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. See you next time.